took off work. I'm actually going to be hiking the Appalachian Trail. And it's about a little over 2,000 miles.
Tell me what you think the biggest challenge along the way might be.
I'm in pretty good shape. I don't think I'll have a whole lot of issues with that, but probably the biggest thing is just being outside for a very, very long time, being in the elements, and not letting that get to me. So a lot of mental aspect of it.
I was going to ask you, tell me about the mental versus physical part of this.
Well, 2,100 miles, so it's definitely physical. I'll probably have to do 4,000 or 5,000 calories of food a day just to sustain my weight. But the mental of it, I mean, I don't know. That's what's actually really appealing to me, because I've done a lot of exercise and whatnot to actually get prepared for this, but the mental, there's really not much I can do for that. So that's the one that's a wild card for me.
Tell me about, your starting point. Where do you start from?
Smyrna Mountain, Georgia.
And tell me about what your plans are the day of your start, and tell us when you're starting.
My parents are actually going to take me down. We're going to start in Amicalola Falls State Park, and it's actually about 8 miles prior to getting to Smyrna Mountain. So yeah, it's a little bit of I think it's about 2,000 feet an elevation change. But it's just spending time with my family. Both my mom and my dad are going to take me down there. We rented a cabin, and we'll spend that night together, and then they'll see me off the next day.
And how are you going to keep in touch?
Well, I have a phone, so I won't have cell phone service, probably a portion of it. But when I go through towns and whatnot, I'll check in. I'll probably do the social media. Some Facebook. I'm actually sharing that with my coworkers and whatnot to actually follow me as I do this. So I'll be in touch.
As you're going, do you hook up with other people along the way? What do you think it's going to be?
From what I've heard, a lot of people do. One of the fears people have is they go down there by themselves and they don't know what to expect. And from what I've heard is a lot of people actually just you connect with a plethora of people, because there's about 1,000 people that do this every year, and it's about a month time frame that there's a large amount of through hikers that come and do this. So I will be meeting some new friends and some hiking buddies. So I have no clue, but I'll probably meet some.
Tell us the differences between a through hiker and a section hiker.
Through hiker and a sectional hiker. So through hiker is the one that typically you either start southbound or northbound, and they anywhere from 4 to 7 months they'll try to hike the entire thing. And a sectional is someone who throughout the years, there's really no duration on it, but they are going to do portions of it, whatever small little sabbaticals that the work allows them to do, or but eventually they'll achieve that goal.
All right, you told us about your starting point at Smyrna Mountain, Georgia. Tell us about the ending point.
The ending point. I'm probably gonna butcher this, but it's the summit is in Maine, and it's Mount Katahdin. And what's interesting about that, going northbound, is you actually end on top of that summit, and right before you get to that summit, there's what you call the 100-mile wilderness. A lot of people get fearful of it because it's 100 miles without any type of resupply or civilization. So they typically tell you to do about 10 days of food to prepare. So it'll be a little challenging.
What do you get to load in your backpack?
Well, I have a tent. I have a sleeping bag. I have typically about 4 to 5 days worth of food. I'll have the clothes that are on me. And then I'll have a spare set of clothes, and then probably a few extra paraphernalia stuff, the toiletries and just other stuff that helps me get through it. Map, definitely a map.
Yeah. All right, so you said like 4 or 5 days worth of food. How do you replenish along the way? Do you make pit stops? What happens?
Well, there's 2 ways people primarily do it. I can either go through, in each town I kind of go through, or towns that are off, either I can stop and resupply, in gas stations or local grocery stores, or I can actually have, friends, family members actually ship me something at the post office, and I can just pick it up.
Yeah, so I guess these stores and stops along the way, they're prepared for you guys, aren't they?
I hope so. Now they're, I actually have a book, and they actually give me some guidelines on kind of like town etiquette and whatnot. Some towns are a little bit different, and as you go up or down geographically, the dynamic and the culture is a little bit different. So you have to be mindful of what you're walking into and what you can and can't do.
You're leaving approximately the middle of April.
Uh-huh.
Why this time of year? Tell us the strategy behind that.
Going northbound, you typically want to start, anywhere from early March to, in the April time frame. And the later you get in the April time frame, you may not, if you're going to be a through hiker, you're not going to be able to actually, you're going to jeopardize your chances to actually finish it, because at the very top, I think it's Baxter State Park, I think they close the park at night October 15th. So that's one of the prime reasons why I'm going now. It's a little more on the tail end, so the weather will be less harsh, and I don't have to carry so much cold gear. But that's one of the strategic ways I'm thinking about it.
What about wildlife? What about bears? Tell us what you're going to do about, or what you've read, what you need to do about that.
You hang your food every night. Typically you want to do, so many feet away, 100, 200 feet. Whatever is the, we feel comfortable with. Some people maybe do closer, but typically if you walk into those bears, you want to stand your ground, because with black bears, that's typically the method you want to approach with them. If you go on the West Coast with brown bears, it's a little bit different. But typically you want to stand your ground, get very, very wide. If you feel threatened, because you'll have to probably make a defense.
How comfortable are you knowing what's coming up?
I don't know, it hasn't really hit me yet. I think that first night, it'll be the first test of what I truly feel just being out there. I mean, I've done several camping, but this one's a little bit different, because I know I probably won't be in a kind of civilized way and for 5 months or so.
And there are shelters, I guess, along the way, right?
Yes,
Tell us about that.
There's definitely shelters or lean-tos. They're unique. Every part of the trail, there's a kind of a volunteered club that essentially maintains a certain section of those areas. And I mean, you can go from anywhere, 3 or 4 miles, and you'll probably hit another shelter. Some are a little more primitive, some are a little more up to date. One interesting thing I've heard about the shelters is that you might get an occasional mouse run across your face or something like that. So it'll be interesting.
They don't take reservations at these shelters. You may be shacking up with a bunch of people you don't know, right?
Definitely. There's some strategy to that. Like there's some people who actually do this entire trail without a tent, and I have one. I'm not going to do that type of strategy, but you will be running into a few individuals, and a lot of times when you start your day out, you probably want to do 1 to 3 types of shelters you want to target, and if you really want to stay at a shelter, you just if that first one doesn't meet, you just keep going, and but you will definitely be shacking up some different people.
Yeah. And occasionally we get off the path and stay at a hotel.
Yes, I will. When I'm mentally depleted, I will probably starting out. I want to shoot for 1 day a week, do some laundry, get mentally prepared, get a massive amount of food. I'll be burning some calories, so, and just see what the towns have to offer as I go through. So
obviously you've got a detailed route and you've checked it, I'm sure, all the way through. Are there certain landmarks along the way you want to make sure you see?
I got a few books I've looked at, and one of the books I have actually gives like a little targeted area of where you can take pictures, but there's so much that you could do. I don't even know where to begin. I'll just hit them as I go.
How much ground will you cover per day?
If I take, I'm trying to take about at least a 0 day, which is no miles a week or per day, and then I'll probably do.
Well, tell us about that. Why would you do a 0 mile day?
A 0 day? I mean, physically, it's going to wear on me, and mentally, and sometimes it's going to be a downpour. And do I want to just slop through the mud, or do I actually want to just stay in a shelter with some new friends that I had and play some cards or something like that? And then when the rain stops, then we'll get back out there. But trying to do a 0 day will help keep that mind and body fresh. But with that in mind, if I'm going to target 5 months, is what I'm trying to do, I'll need to be doing about 16 miles a day.
What's going to be the challenge of the course itself? Is there the hardest part, I guess?
I would say Smokies are are going to be difficult because I think the highest point is Kleeman's Dome up in that area. And there's going to be a lot of elevation change in there. Probably a lot of rain too coming in the spring. And then in the middle states, it'll be a little bit more flat. But towards the end, up the New England states, if we get into Maine, it'll be a little bit more intense because I'll have to do some river forging. Have to take my shoes off and maybe switch out to some spares that I have. So it'll be a little challenging from that aspect.
How many pairs of shoes do you think you'll be going through?
Probably at least 2, definitely 2.
Yeah, me too.
I'm actually wearing the shoes I have on right now, or I've already bought an extra pair, and I've already done a few hikes in them to break them in. I will probably definitely go through 2, who knows, maybe 3. They're trail shoes, so they may not be as sturdy as some other stronger boots, so they may go through a little quicker.
Well, I've read that some places suggest wearing boots to go through, getting through water and things like that. Is that just too much extra weight, you think, then?
That's a good point, because weight is everything. And I am going to cross that point when it happens, because you can ship things to you, and when I get closer to those areas where they no longer have the kind of bridges that we have to cross, and you have to do some cable type crossings or some just forging with your poles, I might have some water type shoes, like some Crocs or something like that. Or
how heavy is that backpack that you got?
How heavy? It's
with all your stuff in it.
Ever growing until that day I go. No, it's about 32, 33 pounds right now, fully food, water, and everything. I'm trying to get lower. About 5 pounds or so.
I've read 25 to 35 pounds is about a range, and you don't realize how heavy it is just loading it up until you start walking with it for up and down.
Oh yeah, you start going up. A lot of people think going up is a big deal, but when you got your trekking poles, it helps propel you up. But going down hills is actually, it gets to your knees, and you have that extra 30 pounds on your back. It might cut some days short.
Yeah. When you get back, when you're finished, what are you gonna do then?
Well, where I work at, has been very, very friendly in my endeavors. They've set me up with a lot of kind of informal interviews on some areas I wanted to go. So I've already talked to them before I left, but they said keep in touch, because who knows, maybe 3 months or 4 months into your hike, you may have no desire to do what those roles are. So I'll take each day at a time.
Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned thousands attempt this. I think 25% actually complete.
Yeah.
Right? How are you going to feel if it doesn't work out for you? What could keep you from making it, you think?
Keep me from making it. Probably the most difficult thing is that there's going to be some times I'll get lonely, because I mean, I'm really close with my family, and not being able to see them all the time is going to be probably a difficult thing, and just missing that will probably, I think I'll overcome most physical ailments. I mean, I probably won't be able to, if something extreme happens, obviously that would be a bad thing, but probably the family aspect will be the most difficult one.
Is anybody going to be like walking that you know, any parts of the walk with you?
Yes, there definitely will be some people. I've already had a few people at work. They're already picking out some slots that are going to work with me. And I have some close friends that are actually going to walk with me towards the end. And my dad's actually going to finish the last 100 miles with me. So,
what are you going to do about grooming?
Grooming.
As far as you know, shaving and showering and things like that.
Well, I've had several people tell me that I should grow my beard out as long and as greasy, nasty as possible. I will probably honor that. I may even do a little day-by-day picture, so it'll look like a chia pet over time. It'll be a few days between showers, but those days that I have a legitimate shower with hot water, hopefully I get those once a week. That'd be great.
Have you been preparing at home that way by skipping a few days shower?
No, I have not skipped any showers yet. I'm still working right now, so I might really challenge my my coworkers that they might not appreciate that.
Is every step along the way considered inside a national park?
There are, I think, 7 national parks that it goes through. I've hiked portions of it before, specifically up towards Damascus and.
Where is Damascus?
Virginia.
Okay.
Virginia, yeah, and that's probably one of the more first prominent cities that a lot of people look forward to when they're going northbound. And there are, as you go along, you'll come across some towns and like very friendly, neighbors that you're going to pass, and they'll treat you nice. So.
What about a gun?
From what I've heard, a lot of people barely even bring a knife. Some people just bring like a razor blade or something like that just so they can cut. I'm bringing a knife. It's just a few ounces, just more enough to if I need to cut some rope or do some type of modification on my pack or anything like that. I have it. But a gun, I believe you can actually take a gun. You just may not be able to use it. So.
Now you mentioned rope. I know I read where people, I guess, they hang their clothes, whether to dry or maybe they've rinsed them or something, or hang other things at a certain height to get out of the reach of bears and stuff.
Typically, you would probably want to hang it higher than 15 feet, around there. And you also, when you anchor it to the tree, you want to be a little bit higher than what a typical bear or animal can kind of nudge at. You don't want them knocking down your food. That's your livelihood.
Yeah. What about bathroom facilities along the way?
I don't think there's such thing as a bathroom facility on this endeavor. Ideally, you want to do it very away from where you're eating and staying the night, and you kind of have to dig a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to take care of your area.
Yeah, they don't want you just putting it under a rock.
Nope.
All right, what else should we know about you and your trip that's coming up?
I'm just going to meet tons and tons of new people, see so many scenery or scenic places, and I don't know. There's only so much planning you can do for this, and the rest is just whatever you experience on the journey.
After you walk out, tell us about how the ending is going to be when you walk out at the end at Baxter State Park.
Well, I don't know. It'd be like, what's the next mountain that I have to do? Because just this whole endeavor that I'm doing is, 3 or 4 years ago, it kind of crept up on me, and just this past 6 months to a year, it's I don't know, I'm just really wanting to do it. And once I get done with this and challenge that, might be a little bit of a void for a while. And I might have to figure it out.
Yeah. You've really prepared for this, haven't you?
I've thought about it. Yeah. Done some reading, done some research. I've actually had a few friends and friends of friends that have connected me with other people who've done it. They give me tons and tons of advice, so very valuable.
Any of the advice they've given you yet either surprised you or took to heart more than maybe the generic piece of advice you might read online?
The 0 days. The not hiking and actually taking a personal day and just getting fully cleansed and cleaned up. And they said that will probably, even though you're not doing any miles, will actually do much more in the long run. And I'm not gonna deter from those. So.
Why do you want to do this?
Why do I want to do this? Adversity. I don't know. It's something that's just very few people have done, and a lot of people don't finish it. And I want to take my stab at it.